This is a Rooster Teeth production.
Harry, what is it?
The stuff that dreams are made of.
This is the stuff dreams are made of. I'm Ryan Condal, writer-collector.
And I'm David Mandel, writer-collector. We've got a really exciting show for you today, coming to you, as always, not live from Fishkill, New York, and London, United Kingdom.
Yeah, nearly dead from London here. Yeah.
A very rainy day here in Fishkill, which, as anyone who's a fan of Fishkill, New York, knows, those are the best days here in Fishkill.
That's what I've always heard. I read that in the tour book. It was actually a beautiful day here in London, and now I complained about the darkness here, and at some point in the year the sun sets at like 3:15 in the afternoon, but now it's 9:45 here in the evening, and the sky is still pink. It's kind of amazing. It's really the British summer has thus far been pretty nice. The 4 days of it that we've had here in the end of May, beginning of June, as we record.
June 1st, and British winter starts tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. It's a delight. But Dave, we have exciting stuff today, because usually we're scraping the bottom of the barrel trying to come up with something to talk about at the top of our episodes.
No,
but not so today.
This is actually really exciting. It's sort of prop related, but not prop related. It's really about the podcast itself. So the big news over this last month has been that AT&T is selling Warner Brothers, they're sort of undoing their purchase of Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers is going to merge with the Discovery Channel to create this new Warner Brothers Discovery thing. And, there are lots of questions. What is that going to mean? Which executives are going to stay? What's going to happen?
Do Dave and I still have jobs?
And we were, a little bit worried because obviously, we are a small, tiny little piece of that empire. And we found out some incredible news today, but apparently we are going to be the lead program of this merger because there is a new Warner Brothers Discovery logo I was just sent literally an hour ago that says the stuff that dreams are made of. So clearly they're all in on this podcast. That is really incredible. We want to thank Mr. Zaslav and all the other Warner executives. This is really great. We're just excited to finally have some backing of this podcast. I
had heard that this was actually the reason for the merger. Was our
you
podcast.
Have to wonder if Discovery just wanted in on this.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, exactly. No, all kidding aside, I've called my lawyer and we will be suing. All kidding aside.
Ourselves.
This is a breach of something. I'm not a lawyer myself, but
yes.
It's some sort of a breach of some sort.
It's a breach of etiquette at the very least.
Well, it's certainly bad form and all of that. But apparently,
good for future Google searches.
I'd
Dave?
like to think someone will accidentally find this podcast because
I have to figure out whether there's an accidental download metric in our sort of year-end stats that they do with us. And
I don't think advertisers care if you find it accidentally. So so there you have it. Warner Discovery and the stuff dreams are made of, perfect partners, moving together forward into the 22nd century. So I'm very, very proud, very, very proud.
That's very nice. So assuming that this show ever airs,
it'll air, but it starts now. Everything before that just got cut out.
It's just a beep to start the show. So anyway, it's a bit beyond the news that we are the face of the new Warner Brothers Discovery merger. Today's a big day in collecting, Dave. It's catalog day again, which is hugely exciting.
It is, although it's sort of funny now. We used to, when we've done this in the past, obviously there's a certain giddiness to catalog day. And I don't know if it's this last year or so, but Catalog Day is becoming a little less fun. It's starting to become a little bit, dare I say, of a chore. As I don't know, the catalog, we got this new catalog and it is so giant. It's just hundreds of pages.
Yes.
It is just wild. We're talking about the new catalog, which is, you can find it online.
It's a hernia.
Yeah. It's the new prop store catalog. They're having a Los Angeles auction, and this sucker is, I don't know, off-puttingly giant, I'll just simply say.
So it's 1,362 lots. So I think if I'm correct, this is the first time Prop Store has broken the 4 figures mark, which is usually,
I believe it is Profiles-esque in its size.
Yes, that is usually a lot of profiles in history. So kudos to Prop Store for,
and it doesn't even
encyclopedia.
have all like the still photos from the 1940s movies that I tear out of the Profiles catalogs to make my catalog thinner. So the catalog is very big, and we are going to do that thing that we kind of do, which is we're going to look at it for the first time with you guys on this podcast. And so you can go to the Prop Store site, you can download it right now, get ready to open it up. But we did get a little bit of inside scoop from our friends at Prop Store. Because there are so many items, they have split the auction into 3 days. And I guess how would you describe how they're describing it? Kind of a sort of a descending sort of series of days where smaller, cheaper items are on the final day and slightly bigger items, I guess, are a day 2.
I think it's actually, Dave, it looks like day 2 and 3 are the sort of more, kind of more accessible, as we would say, collectibles, things. Day 2 isn't bigger than day 3.
No,
day 2, it looks like day 2 and day 3 are the more kind of accessible pieces, the pieces that aren't in the 4 and 5 figure range, or aren't all in the 4 and 5 figure range and beyond. But it's done alphabetically. So day 2 and 3, I think, are all of those lots, and then day 1 is the is the more kind of A items, the creme de la creme, the stuff that tends to go for higher hammer figures.
Well, I was gonna say we should start on day 3, but then what you're really saying is we should start on day 2. But we thought we would do day 2 and 3 and go through some of these smaller items. And one of the things that's gonna be really nice about this is there's gonna be a lot of great starter pieces and reasonably priced pieces, as Ryan just said. And so I think this is where you're not necessarily going to see the $50,000 piece that you just stare at and go, who would pay that? Although obviously sometimes crazy things do happen. It's always interesting when an item that's only supposed to sell for, say, $2,000 goes insane for some reason, because all it takes is 2 buyers. But we thought we would maybe start with day 2 into day 3 and then build to day 1 to the bigger pieces, so that the podcast sort of is more exciting and really lives up to the whole Warner Brothers Discovery ethos of dreams being made and all that.
It lives up to the tagline of a $50 billion merger.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So does that sound like a good plan, or at least a plan?
Yes, I think so.
All right.
Are we taking answers from the audience?
What do you guys think? Oh, you like it? Great.
Oh, they applauded by a sign of applause. We should move ahead with this plan. So we'll cruise through, and I think it'll be fun. So
where the hell do we start?
Well, I think we start on day 2, which is
page 155 of the PDF and page
301
of the 5,000 page catalog.
Amazing.
So that's great. Yeah.
So this auction is going to be held in Los Angeles. I'm not sure if they're having any live people this time around. I don't know with COVID rules where they are with it. But it starts. It's a 3-day auction. It starts on June 29th. So it goes June 29th, June 30th, July 1st. There are about 450 lots per day. So it's a big long auction. And I think this is, Dave, this is right. This is the second LA-based prop store auction, right? Because they did their inaugural one last year. So this is the second kind of go around at it. Because typically prop stores hosted their auctions out of the, they've done one a year.
Yeah, it was one a year out of the UK, and then they made the big move to 2 a year, but then obviously the first one wasn't in person.
One of those is Los Angeles. Yeah. Okay, cool. So so let's dive in. The structure of the catalog actually plays nicely into a theme that Dave and I liked to we talked about doing for this episode, which really is accessible collectibles, like entry level pieces for those listeners, because I know there's a bunch of people that listen to the show that we know that are crazy collectors like us, been doing this for a bunch of years, have spent more money than they care to share with themselves or their spouses on this. But then there are other people that are sort of sitting on the outside of the fence and looking over and wanting to toe in, but aren't willing to invest a college education in their first collectible. So what we're going to go do is we go through the catalog. I think we're going to identify specific lots that we see as really cool things that you can get for a really accessible price. Things from key great movies, classic movies that are representative of that movie that we see as, oh, that would be a great collectible. And Dave and I, honestly, we talk a lot about, indie hats and Star Wars helmets and things like that on the show, but we do have quite a few things in our collections that aren't a lot of money, that are just really cool. So right. I think we can call that stuff out as we go through today.
Let us dig in.
So here's something, 451, The Abyss.
Actually, hold on. I'm going to actually stop you. You're going to be shocked. They've got these hand-painted art to these British quads for old Abbott and Costello movies. And this is really interesting because I saw these in another auction, and I'd be curious to find out whether Prop Store themselves bought this to put in their auction because they didn't go too expensive at the time, or whether someone bought them because it was a smaller auction and then put them right into Prop Store thinking that a bigger crowd might get sort of a bigger price. Do you know what I mean? Because they were in a small British auction. That's where I saw them originally. And I have to say the Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy is a really cool one.
That's a great image.
It's a great image of the two of them. And I love all of those. Meet the Dracula, meet Frankenstein, now Meet the Mummy, whatever. So that's one. Here we are, page 3 of this catalog. I'm circling that. I had not bid on it when it was up the first time. I kind of regretted it, and I'm going to keep track of this. So that's cool. One for me, I'll just simply say.
Cool.
The Abyss.
Yes, no, I love that movie, James Cameron, of course. And it's a diving helmet from The Abyss. It's not, I don't think it's ascribed to a specific character, but it's very cool, and all the hardware in James Cameron movies has a certain look to it because he was always involved with the design of it, and it always has this really, it looks kind of science fiction, but it also looks really functional. And I think this is just a great piece from a really cool movie.
Are these the ones that had that filled up with the liquid where they were like breathing the water or whatever? Or is that different?
I think those were more specialty ones. They went too deeper in the film. I think this is just from the sort of standard crew stuff that they use, because remember they were like it was like an oil rig team, right? So I think this is like the standard stuff that they had on the ship. But it's just, I mean, like I said, just a really cool movie and a cool recognizable piece from it for $2,000 to $3,000 estimate. I see some alien stuff.
Yep, Nostromo patch. I mean, again,
which look, I think is a great,
exactly.
There you go. I mean, that's a great piece from a great movie, really recognizable. $800 to $1,200 for the estimate. I think that's really reasonable for what it is. Super recognizable. You put that in a frame, and everybody knows what it is. Anybody that's seen the movie is a fan of the movie. Again, another great sort of entry level, very accessible piece for somebody looking to toe in who's a fan of Alien. Okay, so moving on.
This is kind of interesting.
Now?
Yes, exactly where I was stopping. An Alex Tuvolaris signed death card. One of the, what's his name? Kurtz, right? Oh, no, not Kurtz. Kilgore. Sorry, Kilgore.
Robert Duvall.
Duvall. They would sort of
Charlie Don't Surf.
Yes, put these down and leave them as their kind of calling cards. And I guess this one came from Tuvolaris, who I think was the production designer, I believe, maybe. And that's really cool. It's got his initials on it, so that's kind of neat.
And very recognizable logo that was on the surfboards, which are probably to me, that's other than Kilgore's awesome hat, would be the piece to get from that film, those surfboards.
I think they've got one of the surfboards up in the Coppola, little mini museum up in his winery, I believe. I believe I saw that there up with the Godfather's desk and some other really amazing things. So,
with the Edsel.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a very cool piece, and hard to find things from Apocalypse Now, so that would be a great one.
Back to the Future, some stuff. Save the Clock Tower.
Yeah,
flyer.
some good paper props from Back to the Future.
Bifco stickers. I mean, this is again fun stuff. Hill
Valley Telegraph newspaper from the Western story. That's lot 494. This is again all recognizable, achievable stuff from I think some really cool movies. I see Batman stuff.
Oh, the burned skeleton when the Joker kills him from the first movie.
Got a little hot under the collar.
Yep. Some Penguin stuff. Yeah, again, all interesting. Not necessarily my favorite pieces, but neat.
Yeah, but if you're desperate for a Burton Batman piece, I mean, there's a bunch of cool stuff in here, particularly I think from Batman Returns. Like, I mean, those Oswald Cobblepot posters, those have been around, but they're still super cool. The mayoral campaign poster and the pin.
Yep.
There's one of those. I don't know. I think that stuff is cool. Here you go. Big Trouble in Little China. There's a couple pieces here.
Jack's gun, a little license plate. Super fun stuff. Sword.
The Peking beer, which is the Chinese beer that's in the film, which is fun. Wang Chi's sword and the power jewel from the film. I mean, this is all kind of day 2 and 3 stuff, so it's smaller stuff, but that's a really, really popular cult film.
If you know these movies, these are very recognizable props. I know.
Yes.
I feel like I know that movie pretty darn well, so this is all neat stuff. I feel like the beer bottle would be just a fun one just to kind of have on a shelf. I don't know. That's sort of me.
Yeah, exactly. I've always wanted to do like a little, and we should talk about this in a future episode, but like a little curio cabinet of like interesting things like that from movies, like branded cigarettes and branded, beer bottles and soda cans.
The fake real products that they kind of have to put.
Yeah, exactly. From movies that I really like. I just always thought that would be a fun little like side collection to start. Collection within a collection.
Yeah.
I see Blade Runner.
Yep, Blade Runner script, crew jacket. How come you don't have a crew jacket, or do you have a crew jacket?
I might have to have a crew jacket. So I have a cool kind of collecting story from this year. So I have a really good friend of mine, Lonnie, who's a TV director, film director, kind of doing it all. And he had his 50th birthday, and his very good friend Greg called me up, and Greg Utanis, he's working on Game of Thrones with us, and he was like, Lonnie's the biggest Blade Runner fan in the world. You're an insane collector. Find me something cool. It's his 50th birthday. I have to find him something cool. So I helped him source a Blade Runner crew jacket, which I had seen them around.
Yes, they've they've been around, but obviously they are, they're not common, but they are around. Yeah.
But they've been kind of not well kept in a lot of cases, and I don't know whether it's because it's this. You'll see it in the catalog. It's lot 452.
Well, it's like they're like satiny, right? They're like
they're like
shiny
satin. They're like kind of members only sort of thing from the early 80s. So I imagine if in a smoke filled home from the 1980s, or one that was like put in sunlight, they don't really keep very well. But so the one that I found, I got it and I immediately regretted it. Like the collector gene in me kicked in, regretted giving it away because it was the nicest one I'd ever seen. And these jackets, a lot of people look at them and they think they're maroon because of the way they look, but they're actually black. It's like black. It's the maroon thing comes out from however they're photographed, however it catches the light. And this thing was in like perfect condition. It was really amazing. It looks like somebody had just kind of put it in a garment bag and filed it away in a cedar closet or something for 40 years. So it was really great condition and really impressive, and it's just very evocative of the film. It's just a really cool piece. And there, as we've talked about, Dave and I, both Blade Runner fans, both collectors of Blade Runner, very hard to find Blade Runner stuff. If you love that movie, you're an entry-level fan looking to toe in, the crew jacket is actually, crew jackets in general, crew hats, jackets, shirts are a great way to get into collecting, because that stuff, even from the rarest, most popular films, even Star Wars crew stuff is achievable.
Yeah, the other nice thing about that stuff is if you buy it and down the line you sort of want out of it, like there's always somebody else that wants it. Yes, right. You're not in for too much, and you can kind of get rid of it. One interesting thing about those crew jackets, you were saying how they're very, they're black basically. In the Hoth scenes, they look blue. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, little known
or
fact.
Brown.
I believe we just lost everybody, including Time Warner and Discovery. No?
No.
Okay.
No, we're still the tagline.
Oh,
Dave.
You just checked?
It's okay.
It's still up? Oh, perfect. Good.
Still good.
I've jumped, I'm up to 561. Tangier's chips and
cool.
like stuff from Scorsese's Casino. Again, talking about like little things, but that would be a fun little thing. And
that would be great for my curio cabinet of real products.
Exactly.
Fake products from real movies.
But I was also going to say Scorsese movies, that's a tough one to find something from. Do you know what I mean? Like in general,
Yes.
like obviously very
real
world
stuff,
based and whatever.
Yeah.
And so to see something like this, that, they made up this casino, it's immediately identifiable as opposed to, a random suit jacket or something of that nature. This immediately says to me casino, which I think is kind of fun. So that's a neat one for me. And there were a lot of them, but so what? I just think it's just kind of cool. Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Great piece from a great movie, right? 578, Close Encounters.
Oh, those are really neat. Look at that. Yeah.
This one has been around before, but I'm actually surprised that I haven't gone for it, and that it's back, because this was around a couple of years ago. So this is, if you guys remember the Close Encounters, which Dave and I both love that movie. There was that really iconic image of the ship that's shipwrecked in the middle of the desert. Just this really kind of sort of odd juxtaposition of vehicle and location being nowhere near an ocean, and is sort of evidence of one of these close encounters of a ship presumably being kidnapped and then teleported somewhere else, and evidence of alien visitation, whatever. But Ron Cobb did the concept painting for this. We just talked about Ron and his lovely work. And in the image here that we're looking at, lot 578 is basically the image from the movie. I mean, it's really cool, really evocative, something, again, from a movie where there's not a lot of stuff around from it. What a great piece to get if you're a huge fan of that movie and just looking to have something that represents it.
And we've threatened to do, I think we're going to try and do it sooner than later, but we're going to do a sort of a movie prop art episode, because it's certainly a big part of my collection.
We threaten a lot of things.
I know. It's certainly something you collect as well a bit, and I think the time is right. And, just staying on the Ron Cobb tip, if you will, sort of a whole Conan section with a whole bunch of a lot of pencil drawings, some finished drawings, but just wonderful stuff.
There's some really good stuff.
The snake logo, a drawing of the runes of the sword. Snake.
I regret two lots here. They're back to back, 581 and 582. Both have been around before. One is Ron Cobb's annotated script from Conan. He was the production designer on it. So this is his script with all of his notes in it, which is very, very cool. And John Milius written script. I've spoken about before how he's one of my favorite directors, and certainly probably favorite screenwriter. And then the rune art for the Father Sword, which I own a steel hero version of the Father Sword. But this is the design for the rune engraving on it, which says cleverly carved, "Suffer no guilt, ye who wield me in the name of Crom," which I've always loved. And this is the artwork for that sword, the original artwork for it. So these are two things I certainly have to keep an eye on as we go on down the road here. But there's a ton of great Cobb stuff from Conan. I mean, pages of it. It goes basically through lot 593. So it starts at 581 to 593 are all Ron Cobb Conan pieces.
And the other thing I like about them is they're very identifiable as Conan. Like, it's not like you look at them and go, oh, it's an army guy. There's lots of snake motifs and whatnot that just really kind of, I don't know, place it in the Conan world. There's just some very cool stuff.
A Dallas clapperboard, Dave, 601, to go with your golf ball collection.
That's too late. I'm looking for an earlier Dallas one.
Oh,
yeah. But that episode was directed by the guy that played Cliff Barnes, the Ewing's arch enemy. I see how you were joking, but I know a lot about it.
You really do. Wow.
That used to be my job, by the way. That used to be my job. My mom would go out on Friday nights to play cards with her girlfriends, and my job was to tape Dallas for her on a VHS.
Oh, that's so great! I love that.
That was my job. So there you go. I know more about Dallas than I probably should. Dr. Archibald Moonlight Graham's umbrella and prescription pad from Field of Dreams. I love the prescription pad.
That is pretty good.
Yeah, come on, that's kind of neat. I mean, talk about something that they made for the movie. It is unseen in the film. I don't believe. Yep. I guess it was sitting on his desk, and this is what I love about sort of art directors and prop departments, that it was a doctor's office, so they made a prescription pad and you never see it. And the umbrella, I guess, is sort of memorable, but it's an umbrella. But to actually get something that says Archibald Graham on it, I think that's kind of really neat.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And I think I'm guessing the top of the next page. Is that where you're going?
Yeah. So yeah. I was gonna digress for a second.
Digress.
My first job, my first real professional job was selling, essentially marketing prescription pads.
Like for doctors, like personalized ones? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So I worked for a medical marketing company. So I used to work in medical advertising, and the way I got into the actual advertising part of it was I worked for this marketing company that made custom prescription pads with, which sounds terrible and shady, and appreciate that I was a 21-year-old kid who desperately needed a job. But every sort of 10 pages or so within the prescription pad, the company that I worked for would put in an ad for a targeted drug that was, specific to the practice and specialty of that doctor. So because in where
Sure.
this company worked, prescription pads are a legal document. So they're actually expensive. They cost money, and doctors go through a lot of prescriptions. They're always writing these things. So what my company did was they would make these things, insert ads in them, and then give them away free to the doctor, because it was the only way to get an advertisement into the examining room, because that was a sacred place, and there was no, there were no posters, marketing materials at all allowed in there. If you wanted to market to the doctor, you had to do it in his office or her office or whatever. But this was the sort of subterfuge, the Trojan horse to get the ad into the room. And they made, just absolutely minted. They made money hand over fist doing this, and it was their whole thing. That's all they did. They had like a huge sales team that sold these things because they would sell the ad space to pharmaceutical companies and then give the pads away to doctors. It just absolutely minted this place. This crazy guy ran the company. It was not a good place to work, but it was my first job.
As an authority on prescription pads, this lot is not cheap, $3,000 to $5,000.
Yeah, it seems high.
Do you think that if you were addicted to pills, to painkillers, you could buy this lot and then write your own Archibald Moonlight Graham prescriptions for Oxy, and then get a pharmacy to fill it? I guess that's the real question. Because in that case, 3 to 5 is a real bargain.
It seems like a great deal. Yeah. I think the answer is for sure, absolutely, and we don't want any follow up on this question. Thank you. Don't write our email.
Fight Club.
So yeah. But this is like Dave 667. This is a great example to me of something that's like a great achievable piece from a great movie. So it's the Fernie with the umlaut over the U catalog from Fight Club, which is obviously a takeoff on the IKEA catalog.
Oh, I just got that.
It's the catalog that he walks through. Remember in the movie, in that incredible sequence back when real CG was just kind of taking root. I always remember that Fincher sequence as being really awesome and disorienting, because nobody had ever seen anything like it. And it's that catalog from the movie. I doubt it screen matches or anything, but it's this wonderful piece of production design from a great movie.
I also love that the catalog says on the front of it, "Step into the new season," and that's exactly what he does in the movie, basically, which I thought was kind of cool. So I thought that was kind of neat.
And right after it, a set of Paper Street Soap Company wrappers, sort of unwrapped Paper Street. But again, there's 3 different versions of the wrapper. You could totally frame that and put it in a frame, hang on your wall. Can we do guilty pleasure, Dave?
Firefox? Is that your guilty pleasure?
No, close. First Night.
Okay.
I freaking love First Night. Sean Connery as King Arthur. Come on, it's awesome.
There is a review of First.
Come at me.
There is a review of First Night, and I can't remember who wrote it, that describes Richard Gere's Lancelot walking, and it says something like strutting through Camelot or strutting by the round table like a Los Angeles like like Vice Cop or something like that. It's the most horrific review that just tears Richard Gere apart. It is a terrible, terrible movie. But good looking armor. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. And I just remember that iconic kind of the blue sort of, the quilted undersuit from that armor. It was a very striking look. And again, something I remember quite fondly. Saw it in the theater when I was in high school and really loved it. And I don't need to see it again because the memory lives, very well in my brain. Oh, and Dave, here for your movie.
Oh, I know my Playboy collection. Yep.
Yeah.
The Forrest Gump Playboy.
Fake
yep.
Playboys in real movies. Yeah, collection. Yeah, the Forrest Gump. Jenny Robin Wright's.
My curio
Playboy
cabinet of fake Playboys from real movies. That'll be perfect. That's cool though. I mean, again,
it is cool.
They went to the trouble, and it's a neat little prop, and again, readily identifiable, which is
yes,
and
fun. Tasteful because she's wearing a sweater, so it's something that you could actually put in a frame and hang up and not have to hide from the children and your mother when she came to visit.
Like the rest of my Playboy collection.
Yes, which are just strewn everywhere. We get it, Dave.
Ghostbuster 2 chairbacks, okay, not my dream.
Yeah, I'm not a chairback guy, but that's also like chairbacks just in general are a pretty easy thing to collect because those are things that we talk about things that get taken off movie sets. Like people aren't lugging a 60-pound Millennium Falcon model off of the Star Wars set because it's hard to hide under your jacket. But chairbacks, basically all of them leave the movie. They get taken home by the actor or by the props team that's responsible for setting up the chairs and clears them out of the movie if the actor or the director or whatever didn't take them home. So these things usually survive and usually end up in private hands. So there are people out there that's all they collect is chairbacks, and they collect them on their favorite actors or their favorite films. And this is a great way to start. Again, entry level movie collection. And here you go. It's all of the gang. It's the whole gang from all the Ghostbusters from Ghostbusters 2, all of their actors' chairbacks. So I think they're cool. I like the door decal.
Do you have, by the way,
$6.94
chairbacks in your collection?
My own. I don't.
Sure.
I don't have anybody else's. I've learned to always take mine. I've taken mine from every project that I've ever worked on. Actually, every season that I've ever worked on. So I have multiple Colony ones because they change a little bit every season.
Oh,
so I keep my own stuff, but not. Yeah,
I keep all of mine certainly, which obviously are fun. But I have a couple of. I have a George Lucas one actually from.
Oh, that's cool.
From Jedi, which is really neat. And
Jedi. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I have.
I was going to guess that was from your Howard the Duck collection.
No, nope, Jedi. And I have a.
Does it say Revenge of the Jedi on it?
I think it doesn't say anything on it, just George Lucas.
Oh, okay.
I have to remember.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll post a photo on the
that'd be great
on the feed. And I have a Last Boy Scout one, a Bruce Willis one from Last Boy Scout.
Oh, nice.
Which is
Do you like that movie?
We're talking about guilty pleasures. That is my guiltiest of guilty pleasures. I love that movie.
I love that movie. I also
I'm
love
a
that movie.
Shane Black nut, but I particularly love that movie. I love everything he does, but I extra love that movie. It's a favorite. Like I'll write to I think I've talked about how I write to stuff. I will write to Last Boy Scout. I will put that in. Sometimes I'll play it 2 or 3 times in a row if I'm working on something, just kind of to keep it running in the background and I work to it. Big fan of that movie.
That's awesome. Yeah, Shane Black got paid like $4 million for that script or something in the early 90s. Isn't that the story on that?
Yeah.
Like early 90s, $4 million, which is quite a lot of money. Lot 725, the Harry Potter broom. And it says poster photo shoot Nimbus 2000, which is the, sort of special broom. It's from the first film, Sorcerer's Stone, or the Philosopher's Stone, if you live in my neck of the woods. I don't know. I mean, to me, at 5,000 to 7,000, it's a higher estimate for a lot in this section of the catalog. But I don't know. For me, doesn't that seem? It's photo shoots, but doesn't that seem like it should be in the first day?
I guess though they must know 100% not screen used and not really, sort of like made for the photo shoot. That's my assumption.
Yeah, but still, I mean, made for the photo. I don't know. I mean, Harry Potter will soon be the Star Wars of that generation. In 20 years, when that's 40 years old, like that's going to be the Star Wars for all those kids that grew up with Harry Potter. And to me, that would be a good investment piece. frankly, even if you're not a fan of the film, if you're just a fan of investing. I don't know, I don't know. It feels to me like that stuff from Harry Potter is going to explode eventually. Don't you think?
I do and I don't. I think you run into that sort of area of like what's supposed to be out there a little bit, and so much of it has been, I guess, faked. I mean, again, not this piece, but I do think it's a market flooded by a lot of fakes, and you have a lot of these wands where it's very hard to know or tell. Like, what is it? How do we know it's the one? And I will admit, I am not the expert on those things enough to kind of go, there's a way of knowing, or look for this or look for that. And so I think I think a little of that has to perhaps come into clarity a little more before I think Harry Potter takes that next jump. I am jumping to 757, not necessarily my favorite movie in the world. It's from the incredible Burt Wonderstone, but it is something I do like, which is it is a fake poster for their magic show at Bally's. And again, in that sort of same area, that fake Playboy world, I love the fakeness of the fake poster. I guess I dig that. I like fake movie posters, fake book ads, whatever it is. And I have a soft spot, although the movie is the movie. So wherever that fits.
How about you can start a whole collection of movie license plates, Dave, with lots of 759. The Robert Redford and Woody Harrelson accessories from Indecent Proposal.
Woody Harrelson, the star of White House Plumbers, shooting now
there you go.
in Fishkill, New York.
There you go. A plug for shooting for Warner Discovery.
The Stuff
Dreams
Are Made Of. Copyright David Mandel, Ryan Condal.
And Jack Warner.
And John Huston and Dashiell Hammett.
Yeah.
And the Dashiell Hammett estate.
Amazing.
A bunch of cool Raiders crew stuff. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Love. I mean, like I said, crew stuff is always great. This is actually very cool. 764, because you see the Raiders crew cap a lot, which 765. There's one of those in here, but the these ILM crew shirts and hat. It's just a rare. I don't know. To me, seeing these catalogs a lot, you don't see the ILM crew shirts around a lot. Those are very neat, very 80s in their own way. And there's more crew stuff here at 7067.
Sorry, hold on. Go back to the 764. I believe I own that art. I believe that's Joe Johnson.
Oh, that's cool.
I believe I have that.
Oh, I think you showed that to me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, that's better than the crew shirt, Dave.
Well, I have both, but yeah. But
there
both
you go.
Cool,
okay.
Both very cool.
Yeah.
I'm jumping to. Go ahead. What?
If you can't get the one of a kind piece of Joe Johnson artwork, I would say the crew shirt's pretty good as far as an entry level piece goes.
We're continuing on this Raiders thing. There's actually a bunch of really nice stuff from Temple of Doom here that I actually really dig. I'm jumping to they have one of the beetles that they eat at dinner. They've got a thuggy sword. They've got the pull to inflate life tag from the raft. These are to me, these are incredibly memorable pieces. The bug in particular and the thuggy sword, just the design of that. Like, to me, again, we're talking, their estimates are under $3,000. They're great starter pieces, but they're also just really nice pieces if you're interested in an indie piece, even if you're a collector and just don't have anything. The bugs are neat. The back side of the bug, which you can't see in this picture, but I'm guessing you'll be able to see online, basically had this sort of area where they could like inject the goo into it so that they could slurp it out. That's how they kind of ate the bugs, basically. They kind of cool. Sort of like, food that you could eat inside of it. Anyway, I thought those were really neat. I kind of got a real kick out of those. So yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Dave, I had highlighted one. I want to jump back a couple of lots here. Sorry. You got all excited about Burt Wonderstone and you skipped over one of my favorite lots.
That often happens.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
We're just talking conversation. You just keep bringing up Burt Wonderstone. But so 754, the set of futuristic idiot accessories from the greatest comedy movie of all time, Idiocracy, the most prescient documentary about our own future that I think has ever been made. I just love this stuff. So it's the Hot Naked Chicks in World Report magazine.
Yep.
with the headline "Shit sucks" on it, which is amazing. The giant remote control, the huge soft drink coffee cups. What does it say? Exotic coffee for men on one of the cups. It's just amazing. So it's all like it's part of my curio cabinet.
No, but
fake products from a real
that
movie.
is a great comedy that stands the test of time. It was actually co-written by a friend of mine, Eitan Cohn, and actually during the
I didn't know that.
Yeah, during the last election cycle, Eitan and I actually did a little sort of benefit together that was moderated by Jen Psaki, who is now Biden's press secretary. It was a benefit. We were raising money for the Biden campaign, and it was sort of about Veep and Idiocracy, the sub sort of topic being which was more predictive of the future.
Oh,
and
very good.
It was a pretty good tie of two terrible things that you just never wanted to happen. But,
we're not far from President Camacho.
No, we are incredibly close to President Camacho.
By the way, I rode in a Black Hawk helicopter with President Camacho.
That seems right.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, there's this thing that the U.S. military does in Los Angeles where they try to they do outreach to the entertainment community to teach us about how the military actually works.
Right, because they want you to write cool movies or write movies with cool shit in them, like cool military stuff.
They use their stuff and whatever. So they picked a bunch of us up in Burbank and they flew us out to Barstow to do this like training day out in the military, the Army base that's out there in Barstow, and got onto these Black Hawk helicopters, and Terry Crews was on my flight crew, and which awesome. If you're charging into battle, there are worse people to be behind. And we did this whole training day, and Terry was on it, and he's really, really nice guy, really funny. And everybody there was fans of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and all these other things. And all I wanted to do is hear stories about Idiocracy, and he was just delighted about it. He loved that I had not only seen that movie but saw it in the theater, which I'm still very proud of. Like I was one of 3 people in the Santa Monica movie theater back in 2006.
No, Idiocracy has definitely come into its own later on. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But I huge Mike Judge fan, so I was all over that movie, and I just thought it was brilliant. Okay, so back to Indiana Jones.
So I've been dying to find an indie shirt, like from Raiders, to go with my jacket and hat and whip, whatever. Would you buy $7.85 a shirt from the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular? Yes or no?
I absolutely would. I loved that show as a kid.
Okay, not the answer I was expecting. All right.
My poor parents, I think they had to take us there. Like we had to do multiple shows in the same day because I was trying, I think, desperately to get picked out of the crowd to go up and do the stunts with them, which sadly I never did. But I loved that show. So yes, I think that's a perfectly acceptable substitute.
Do they take volunteers and like you got to be in the show?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Did you ever see it? Did you ever see the live show?
I don't think I've ever seen that one, but I will tell you there used to be a live Star Trek one at one of the parks. Or maybe it was...
Was that in LA?
It must have been in LA, and I got selected for that, and I got to put on a maroon, like sort of circa Wrath of Khan outfit, and I got to sort of be Chekhov, and I got to say like Wessels, and I have a videotape of that, and I guess I'll post a clip of that.
Can you post that on the feed?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I think that's my real desire to collect Wrath of Khan comes from having co-starred in that. So I will have to put that up for people.
I love that.
Yes.
Oh, here's something. It's Men in Black first film, which I just adore, the first Men in Black. It's Frank the Pug's I Heart New York.
Oh,
hoodie.
yeah. That's cute. That's very cute.
And that's just fun. That's cool. Not a movie where there's been a lot of stuff around. That's a hole in my collection. I don't know that it's the Frank hoodie, but that's definitely a hole in my collection. I would love to get something, substantial from that first movie at some point.
Day 3.
I'm into day 3.
Yep,
yeah, here we go.
Day 3. We're kind of cruising along here.
This is kind of cool. I mean, we've talked about this movie before. It's just really fun. Sort of somewhere in between just fun and guilty pleasure. But The Mummy, the 1999 The Mummy movie.
Yep.
So the map of Hamunaptra. From that's lot 903. Just a cool, piece of production art from that from that film, which I think is very representative.
It's
very
funny.
evocative
The
of
Mummy
it.
and the Mummy 2 and the Scorpion King, or that I guess the second one is the Scorpion King, and then there was I can't remember, there was a standalone movie or something, but they're in heavy rotation right now on HBO Discovery or whatever the heck it's called, and I, for whatever reason, I've been watching the Mummy a lot lately, and I think I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to buy something. I don't know if it's going to be that map, but that's what's happening to me.
It's going to happen.
Yes, I
Good.
think so.
I
Just
like that.
a little something, because
It's too bad you missed out on the last auction, Dave, because there was all that great stuff in the last prop store auction. Yeah.
The
book.
secret to props is sort of like the old secret to comedy. You know that bad joke?
No.
Ask me the secret to props.
What's the secret?
Timing.
Yeah, very good.
I am just cruising here up. Look at 982 TikTok crew gift.
Dave, Return to Oz is the second most popular topic on this podcast. I think.
And 981 Commando cigarette box from Repo Man. So talk about cigarette box.
Yeah.
That's a movie that what are you going to find from Repo Man? So that's not a bad one.
Commando cigarettes. I love what a brand. Perfect. Here we go, Dave. Another guilty pleasure. As you can tell, maybe you can see a theme forming.
Yep.
Guilty pleasure medieval movies from the 90s. Sheriff of Nottingham's Scroll from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. That's a cool piece. I mean, come on. And that film, I don't care what you say about Kevin Costner and his accent. That movie is great.
No, it's so funny that it was a movie that I really did go to for the bad guy. Like Alan Rickman was in it, and they had my money, and it was just kind of wonderful. But that was the reason why. Yeah.
And they also have his coat, Dave. 985 and 988. It's an Alan Rickman Sheriff of Nottingham bonanza in this catalog.
Again, another paper item and another way of thinking about things. And this is just, to me, really cool. Check out 1051. They've got a couple of call sheets from the original Star Trek series from the 60s.
That's really cool.
And that's just really neat. And that's actually, I would want to see what episodes and all that. The print is a little tiny for me at the moment. One looks like it's Court Martial, which is an episode I remember. But that's a lot of 3. So that's one where I might reach out.
Return Tomorrow, sorry.
Oh, that's a good one. Yep.
Whom Gods Destroy.
I would reach out and kind of see if I could find 2 buddies and we split that and each take one. That would be a fun thing just to have, is an original crew sheet. An original crew sheet from Star Trek. That would be very enjoyable to me. I like that a lot. And then we get to a lot of various later Star Trek Next Gen panels. These things always look really good if you frame them up with a light source behind them.
Yeah, they really
just
do.
look
I've seen
great.
a bunch of those. They're really cool. Yeah, I saw somebody on one of our prop groups had one of the Enterprise ones, from engineering or something, and it was really gorgeous. And I had never thought of those that way, and I kind of regretted never going for one. Here's one. Here's a Star Trek piece for you, Dave. I don't know if you remember this book. I loved this book. When I was a kid, because I was really into Next Generation, but the technical manual. Did you?
Oh,
have that
yep,
book?
I had that kind of. I like that stuff. That was always
this
very
is
fun.
the original artwork. From
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even see that piece. I kind of just assumed it was something else. Yeah,
it's the Enterprise D. Sort of the schematic, kind of blueprinty, but a little more detailed than that, as seen from. It's a top shot of it, and I think that's very cool.
There's something very nice
So
about
it's
this.
lot 1068.
I was just going to say, there's something very nice about having all of this Star Trek here on day 3, and that if you did want to just look at day 1, which we're going to get to, you don't have to see this stuff unless you want to. So I'm starting to really like this organizational scheme. I'm just going to say that, by moving this stuff away, it's there if you want it, but you don't have to look at it. I kind of like this.
Yeah, and also it kind of, you can do we'll talk about it, I think, more when we get to day 1, but the idea that the big spending, if you're going to do big spending, it's going to be over by the first day of the auction.
You're going to know whether you spent the money or not, and then you can decide whether these little pieces are things you still want to go after.
To you.
Yes.
Yeah, and how many and how much and all that. I think it really helps parse out the the days, really well. And also it kind of bifurcates it. And maybe there's a chance that it separates the collectors a bit. So maybe, if the bigger spenders, spend themselves out on the first day, there's more of this stuff left for kind of everybody else, the people that maybe aren't able to go up to that level, the day one stuff. So I think I don't know. I'm curious how this does for Prop Store, but I think, I'm all about mixing up auction formats. I don't think it's done enough, and I really I applaud this approach and trying to do this. And I think it's cool that it's a 1,400 item auction, for better or worse, but the way they've broken it up doesn't make it feel like the death slog.
Right. It feels a lot more
it often did
accessible.
For profiles.
Yeah.
Although I think this is pretty cool. 1174, Dave, the Paul Houston ion cannon concept sketch. I think it's really cool. It's a piece of original art.
Yep, totally.
Art,
Yep,
from Empire.
Super
film,
recognizable
and
piece.
an incredibly
recognizable
recognizable thing. That's basically the final image from the film, right there, rendered in concept art. I think that's really cool.
No, there's a couple of nice pieces of just like artwork and schematics and a couple of storyboards and stuff. And again, more Star Wars crew items. Again, really. Just really nice stuff. But again,
here's one. Harrison Ford signed his movie poster. I love movie posters, but this is actually one of my favorite movie posters of all time. The lot 1188, the Revenge of the Jedi teaser one sheet, which we all know they changed the title of the film before it was released. So there were all these Revenge of the Jedi posters that they pulled out of circulation because that was no longer the name of the film. But I just love that. I love that version of the film existed, this darker side of that story, and the fact that Luke was coming back for revenge. And this one is signed by Harrison Ford, which I think makes it very, very cool.
It is. I feel like I'd want Harrison Ford on an Empire one just because he's more prominent
that was
on
his
the
film,
Empire one. Yeah. But certainly cool. Again, a whole bunch of more cool crew stuff, including a Blue Harvest hat and shirt that look in really nice condition.
I love that stuff. Yeah.
Some really nice...
we're getting towards the end here because they're starting to advertise the next auctions. You're getting close to the end of the catalog here on page 513.
But a lot of cool art. Check out what is that? 1,200 TIE fighters over the Death Star concept.
Oh yeah.
That's really
original
nice.
movie. There you go. Original movie. That's very neat. Yeah, look, even if you're a Star Wars fan, you can get the impression listening to this podcast and frankly watching auctions and auction prices that it's over. It's an inaccessible movie even for but for the highest of high rollers. And look, if you want a lightsaber, yes, sure, especially from the original trilogy, but you can collect really cool stuff from Star Wars that, here's a piece of original art from the first film that's estimated at $600 to $800. I mean, if you love that movie, that's a great way to, I think, represent or, project your love for the movie is by buying that lot and sticking it in a frame. It doesn't have to be a Darth Vader helmet. Right. Is what I'm saying.
Everything doesn't need to be a Vader helmet. No.
Yeah. I need a Darth Vader helmet, but not everybody does.
It'd be funny if they had a Vader helmet just stuck in here on day 3. But anyway,
just to see who's still paying attention.
Yeah. Like anybody awake out there?
My next thing is a W. I don't know about you.
Yep, go for it. I'm just flying through. Where are you now?
So, lot 1341. I don't know where you come down on this movie, but I love this movie. What Lies Beneath.
This is actually a great movie, and this is actually a pretty cool piece from that movie, I would actually argue. So I'm kind of with you. And it's signed too, right on the back there.
Yeah. So it's the Ouija board from What Lies Beneath, and it's made into a movie prop. There's a little bit of functionality going on in there. I think it's really kind of stands out as everything you'd want in a movie prop. It's very on theme with the movie. Really, really fantastic, interesting, kind of high order, psycho thriller, right?
A supernatural thriller, but the supernatural part kind of sneaks up on you. So first you think it's very much just sort of a thriller, and then you realize, oh, it's a supernatural thriller in a really good way. And definitely a movie that, I'm not the best with quote unquote scary movies. I definitely jumped a bunch of times in a good way. Yeah. But just to back to the prop for a second, a super memorable prop that really the movie sort of turns on the use of that Ouija board, or at least as I remember it. And I don't know, it's great when you can find a very specific prop like that really kind of jumps out at you in the film. It's not just from the movie; it's key to the movie.
It is.
Yes,
the movie,
exactly.
so to speak, right.
I'm flying a bunch of X-Men stuff, whatever, but my actual, I'm on the last lot of day 3, 1362. If you have nothing before that. So,
no, that's good. That's a good one for me. That's a good one to end on.
Zoolander, it's the Time Magazine, A Model Idiot cover. Again, we've been talking a lot about these real-world items, magazines, fake posters, and whatnot. This is a great one. You could put this with your Playboy magazine collection, but again, a really memorable hand prop from the movie.
Yeah.
And yes, again, there may have been many of them, but it's a pretty cool one. I get a kick out of this, and a movie I really love. I really love that movie. Another comedy that really holds up as far as I'm concerned. So,
yes,
yeah.
Agreed. And one of the greatest next to the in Lawrence of Arabia when Peter O'Toole blows out the match and it cuts to the beautiful sunrise in the Arabian desert. I think that edit is number 1 of all time in movie history, and number 2 is the models all spraying each other with gasoline.
With the gasoline
at that gas station, and then the one guy lights the cigarette, and they just cut right to the funeral. And I just think that with the 4 caskets, and I think it's fucking fantastic. I will also say before we go out on day 3 that I think it's really interesting that X-Men First Class, the crew gift was a Nazi dagger.
For some of the crew. You had to you had to register your desire, but
understood.
All right, so day 1 now. This is very exciting. Now we're building to something.
Let's go back to the beginning, Dave.
I guess we get to put on our big boy pants now and sort of see what's going on here.
Big boy pockets.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going right to 7. What can you say about what can we say about Vasquez and her her screen matched pulse rifle? This is just pretty great. I mean,
this is awesome. Yeah, it's a really great.
This is really excellent.
So there's a bunch of these. A bunch of these have been around. These stunt. This is a stunt pulse rifle. It's Lot 7, stunt pulse rifle from Aliens. And so the stunt ones were this lightweight biscuit foam. So it's not spongy, but it's hard cast, but it's very lightweight. That they used for stunt sequences, and they were lighter to carry for the actors and all that. But they're really cool, and
the biscuit stuff painted up really nicely. Like
it did.
You can tell when you look at the black part that it's not. It's not metal, but it looks really good on screen. Like you can't tell on screen. It's just great looking. Yeah.
And this one is screen matched, which is kind of rare for these. I don't know if there's another one there might be one other that is or that we think is, but certainly not a lot of them. And I think that makes this one stand out. So certainly if you're looking for a piece from Aliens, this is a cool one.
And the other thing that's kind of interesting, and they say it right there in the description, but I can remember this sort of the first time around. This is a piece that, sold originally, in the 90s. So again, you're talking about something that we knew existed. It's been sort of away, if you will, and now who knows? COVID, just time changes, whatever. It's back on the market. So again, it's something, we've reached that point of we're old enough to remember these things from the first time around, but it is great when something that's been off the market for so long does come back onto the market. Makes a big exciting
comeback. Yeah,
this is an amazing piece. I mean, this is an Aliens collection all in one. Like you get this and you're done. You don't need anything else. You're
for sure.
You're good. And it's boy, I think it's going to go for a lot more even than that estimate. But boy, oh boy, oh boy, you get this and you're just done. I mean, it'll frame up nicely. You can kind of put it on lean it on like kind of you could put it in a box. You could put it flat. I mean, boy, it's just really great. I don't know what else to say. I do love it. I do love it. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot as somebody like, how serious are you about a piece like this? I mean, I know, is it the screen match? What is it for you that makes you even think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in it. I have to really think and see what else is in the auction, but this is a great piece. So I have one of these, but mine is not matched. I mean, again, most of them are not. But it's that's the thing, is like I know how cool this piece is because I have one. So in my mind, what I'm thinking of is like, do I want to make the upgrade and have the one that's bulletproof, that's we know is matched, perfectly matched the scene, and if so, how much is it worth to me? So that's sort of the math
Right.
that I'm doing. But yeah, for sure. I mean, a screen match is great, and I have a matched set of Hudson Bill Paxton armor, and this would certainly go very nicely with that. Actually, fun fact from the Making of Aliens book, which our friend Jonathan Rinsler, J.W. Rinsler, wrote and published earlier this year, or maybe just last summer. Vasquez and Drake, the two smart gunners, apparently their backstory that was given to the actors but not actually written into the film was that they were both people that had death sentences. They were on life sentences.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
For
And so
crimes that
they
committed.
sort of joined the army.
So their choice was to
Okay.
sign up instead of being in prison, which I really appreciate. It gives a whole new kind of aspect to the Vasquez character, played beautifully by Jeanette Goldstein.
I do love the idea of like that's something that Cameron sort of told the actors, and they played it, but you never knew it. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and that's why they weren't bothered by going into that alien nest, because they were like, well, whatever. It's better,
Right. What do we got
better
to
than
lose? It's better than
the 6x9,
Right.
cell.
It's better than space prison. This is just a great piece. I mean, this is just a great piece. I don't know what else to say.
Yes, it is. Does that mean that you're in on this, Dave?
No, I mean, I do really like it. I'm not sure how I would, mine is not a stunt like this, but obviously mine's one of the ones that was painted black. And so,
yeah, it's a hero from Alien 3.
It doesn't really match anything, but I don't know. I'm not sure I would even begin to know how to get rid of mine and get this. I will also say, and we may have talked about this once before, I got my gun so long ago, and I do mean so long ago, and I paid so little for it that in some ways it prevents me from ever upgrading, just because
re-entering it,
even if I sold mine for a fortune and covered the price of this one, which by the way, I don't think I could do because obviously this is screen matched. But even if somehow that did happen, just the idea that I would be buying one that cost X as opposed to what mine cost, which was honestly, I want to say less than $5,000. I know that sounds crazy, but I believe that's how long ago I got it. That's how long ago I got it. I mean, we're talking, a really long time ago.
Prop collecting dinosaur, Dave.
Yes,
and those are the
exactly.
kinds of stories
but
that
it does stop me from doing an upgrade that might actually make sense for my collection. So somewhere in there is an answer, but not really. But yeah. 32, lot 32.
Yeah,
we
that's cool.
have talked about this on the podcast. This is the bullet damaged bat logo, Michael Keaton bat logo that I missed out on all those years ago, and it has resurfaced. It has returned, and I feel like I'm not going to let that happen again. That's how I feel right now.
Oh, good.
On 32 lots into day one. I have regretted not getting that or one in general. Yeah.
So here's a piece, lot 40, the Raptor flight suit from Battlestar Galactica. I'm just going to call this out because I actually know the person consigning this. It's a friend of mine who I grew up with, Christina, who bought this from a fellow collector friend. This was like her favorite show ever. She's a listener of the podcast, listens to us, and bought this thinking that she was going to start a collecting mission as a collector, and then realized how hard these things were to take care of, and moved and didn't have room for it and all that. So it was kind of sad because Battlestar was like her favorite TV show ever. It was very sad to consign this, but I kind of introduced her to the prop store gang and said, hey, I think you should consign it in auction because I think it'll do really well. It's actually in wonderful condition and really well preserved as far as these flight suits go. So it's definitely one to look at if you're a Battlestar fan. But sad to see it go, but I think it's cool to see it in the catalog. Hope it does well.
Yes, good luck. Good luck, Christina. It's that series still holds up. So again,
love it.
Yeah, I actually, just really quickly, the Clash of the Titans art. It's a
yeah. What do you make of that?
It's I know the finished poster. I'd love to sort of see this sucker out of the frame and whatnot, but it's a piece I remember. I guess that's we're back to that again.
Yeah, so it's a Hildebrandt brothers,
Yeah.
which or the brothers Hildebrandt, I believe as they call themselves. It's the famous picture of Medusa that took up that great poster and Perseus the sword, the Pegasus. It's very cool, very evocative, and certainly those are famous movie poster artists. I think there's a lot to like about this particular piece. It's a prelim, but it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty
tight. You can see the Harry Hamlin the likeness. I mean
certainly the Medusa's really cool.
The Medusa's great. Mm. The Conan, the Set amulet? Is that what you were?
No, I was going to do Subutai.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. My gosh, I'm moving too fast.
Yeah,
look at that.
And that's like Jerry Lopez, a famous surf god, and friend of John Milius, who cast in the film as Subutai.
Conan's, don't you have to say always Subutai, thief? Don't you always have to say it like that?
Yeah, exactly. I think this is really cool. Hero set of his stuff, and it was used throughout the whole film. Used in certainly iconic thieving sequences.
Love the design of the bow. I mean, it's like some kind of like bird's claw or something.
Yeah, and recurve. It's all wrapped in leather. There's a bunch of feathers and fur going on. And I think it's just really interesting. Really cool, well-made, bespoke piece. I think if you're a Conan fan, you could do a lot worse than Lot 52 there.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I can't believe I flew by that, but I do. I like that a lot.
Well, that's why you have me, Dave.
Nope, thank God. The Evil Dead 2 cabin. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's a really, just a cool piece of build there.
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2, 1987.
And miniatures like this, it's such a lost art. I mean, this would so be CGI now. It's crazy how this would be, So there's just something kind of wonderful that you're getting, a real, a piece of a cult classic, but also, something that just wouldn't exist anymore, most likely.
Yeah.
Well, here's a piece I got very excited and then not as excited. Lot 90. It's a Godfather newspaper headline, but it's one of the more, I guess I'll simply say, generic ones where police hunt cop killer, but there's no, there's nothing beyond that you have to know that's when he kills McCluskey. It's not, it is from The Godfather, but I want it to be one of the other ones. Yeah. Well, you want it to be like the one where Vito Corleone gets shot. Yes, exactly. Right. That's the one you want it to be. But it's still cool. And again, Godfather, not a lot of stuff. I know we were saying that a lot, but that is one of them.
Production used script from Gone with the Wind. I mean, I don't usually call out scripts, but that's cool.
Yeah, very neat. Although not as cool movie as 94, the hero used Comlink from Greatest American Hero.
Yes, very true.
Oh, so we were talking about Potter earlier and charity auctions, and they've actually got here, and I guess Harry's wand and glasses that are in from Warner Brothers as part of a charity auction. These are pretty incredible. I mean,
you go. Right. Yeah.
I mean, both of those together would make for an insane display because the glasses are such a recognizable shape that you could, if you put those, if you sort of put those flat in a frame with the wand under it, that would look really, really, really cool.
Yeah. You could even get like a cool, mannequin head just to support them on. Cause I think that on the human head shape, like not a face, nothing like that, but just to hold them up, I think it would give them that shape and presence. And then the wand is awesome. I mean, what a cool design that is.
I'm going to build a fake Hermione, a fake Ron, and a fake Harry, and then put the glasses on it. I think that'll be
I think that's a really good plan. The hero Hogwarts acceptance letter, that's really cool.
That's a nice one. And I like the Dumbledore Daily Prophet, After Dangerous. The graphics in the movie are just so enjoyable. These are all just fun. These are also things that I feel like my kids would enjoy if I bought one of these and kind of hung it in their room, which would actually trick everyone into letting me have props in my house. So that's how I like to think about these things.
But then you also have to poke your head in there in the middle of the night and just scream, "Don't touch it!"
Don't even dream about it. So
yeah, that's right. Here we go. 109. I've always loved this design.
I had a replica one of these, the sideshow one that they sold, years ago, and I actually got rid of it. And I like this. I like this a lot. Yeah.
This is it's lot 109. It's Hellboy's Samaritan pistol from the Ron Perlman. It's the first film too. The first one. I mean that he carries the gun in the comics, and Dave and I don't know if we've talked about it on the show, but Dave and I are both huge Mignola fans. Mike Mignola, the artist creator of Hellboy, we both have original Hellboy art in our collection. Dave much more than I, but really really cool stuff. And this gun is very Guillermo, when he made the movie, kind of made this piece his own. But Hellboy is always famous for carrying